What's your plan to turn the campaign around?
You saw it today. How many people you get draw crowds like I drew today? You find me any more enthusiastic than today? Huh?
I mean, I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. There's no question about that.
He can draw a big crowd, but what does he say? Who's he have?
Yeah, President Biden claiming the rallies like the one he had yesterday in Wisconsin will be the key to turning his campaign around in an exclusive interview with George Stephanopoulos. But Biden's determination getting mixed reviews as one rally-goer greets the president with a sign saying, "Pass the torch, Joe." Our next guest represents the district where Biden held that rally. Republican Congressman Bryan Steil joins us now. Congressman, thank you for joining us. As we just said, the president was in your district there in Wisconsin. And how do you feel like his message was received?
Well, President Biden came to the state of Wisconsin and went to the most liberal city in Madison, which is just outside my district. But let me tell you, when he's going there to read a teleprompter for 18 minutes in front of his supporters, you know things aren't going well. Contrast that to when President Trump came to Racine, Wisconsin, which is in my district, where we're working to grow the tent. The Democrats right now are circling the wagons, maybe circling the drain on a real problem. Republicans are working to grow the tent. The problem that the Democrats have not only is the person that's leading the charge, President Biden, it's also the policies that they're purporting to support. They're working to drive reckless spending, driving inflation higher, and leaving the border unsecure. Not only is it the actions of the President of the United States where he continues to show he's not capable of the job, it's also the policies that are driving our country further and further off the rails.
Yeah, I think the policies is part of this conversation that really isn't making it to the headlines right now, because it's all about whether or not Biden has the wherewithal. But looking at Wisconsin, I don't know if I'd call it a swing state, but it seems like just about every state has some play in it. Does Donald Trump have a chance to win Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, every election year, is the tip of the spear, and Wisconsin can definitely go for President Trump once again. This is going to be a turnout game in the state of Wisconsin, and the key here is to make sure that every Republican and every conservative has their voice heard in votes this November. President Trump did a great job talking about this when I got to introduce him again in Racine, Wisconsin last week, talking about making sure we're using all the tools in the toolkit to get the vote in on the conservative side. This is both a persuasion conversation about the policies that President Biden is using to clobber American families. Contrast that with 4 years of success under President Trump, where we're actually growing the economy in real terms, and we had a secure U.S.-Mexico border. The second piece of this is the turnout model. And in the state of Wisconsin, we have a robust operation here. And again, with President Trump coming to historically Democratic cities like Racine or crisscrossing the state of Wisconsin, we have a huge opportunity to grow the tent in Wisconsin, deliver Wisconsin for President Trump, and remove President Biden from office so we don't have him for 4 more years.
You know, President Biden does tout a lot of the legislative victories for a progressive agenda. He talks about basically the faux Green New Deal. He talks about a lot of things that happened in Congress. But since then, Republicans have taken the gavel. Since the Republicans have taken the gavel, the leadership's changed a time or two, and so has the leadership on the Democratic side. It's no longer Nancy Pelosi, it's Hakeem Jeffries. And so now we have this situation where members of the Democrat Party are actively calling for President Biden to step down. As a matter of fact, Hakeem Jeffries has a meeting that I guess he's going to call and try to rally the troops tomorrow afternoon. And I don't know what his strategy is, but you're in the halls of Congress. What do you think will come from this?
It appears Leader Hakeem Jeffries is trying to circle the wagons and prevent any more defections. Any Democrat running a competitive district is trying to do everything they can to avoid the proximity that they might have to President Biden. They're petrified for him to lead them at the top of the ticket. Just look at Madison, Wisconsin, and you have U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin refusing to show up with the President of the United States, and she's done that time and time again. My opponent refused to go. We have Democrats petrified that President Biden is leading the top of the ticket. You have Leader Hakeem Jeffries having to call an emergency meeting on a Sunday before Congress comes back to work to make sure that they don't have more defections. But I think what you're going to see over the course of the coming weeks and the coming months is Democrats trying to run away from their own record. They don't want to talk about the reckless spending that they put in place that's driving inflation higher. They don't want to talk about the open border policies that President Biden is driving that's causing chaos, not just in border states, but in communities across the state of my home state of Wisconsin, for example. And so I think what we're going to see is Democrats trying to jump the ship and the leadership of the Democratic Party trying to work to circle the wagons to prevent that.
No, it'll be interesting to see. I'm interested to see what comes from this and see if we see strength out of the new minority leader or if it looks something different. So, Congressman Bryan Steil, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.